You know what I noticed? Is that our intro isn't on here. We've been doing so much trenches stuff lately that our intro no longer exists. So welcome to Yards After the Catch, everybody. We can still play the music. We can have the music going in the background or something. Thanks to Rob Machado for putting that together. We'll make sure you get to hear it before we go. Um, it's been a busy day. We just gave $5,000 away to the Trenches champion. Um, it's actually a great way to end this week because just a week ago we were talking about something so traumatic and so tragic, and now this week Dinar is fine, but doing better. I won't say fine, but doing so much better, looking well to make a recovery, and we just gave away $5,000. It's a good week.
Yeah, Hamlin's headed home, $5,000 to the champ, and you know what? I'm kind of excited. Playoffs are here. Everybody's already seated. Everybody already made you know their mistakes in the playoffs for fantasy, or none, and they ended up being the champ. So it's kind of like one of those couple weeks of I don't know what to do with myself because there's not going to be, the fantasy's kind of over for most people unless they're going some playoff type stuff. But I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Well, let me do this. Let me run a ticker. I'm gonna make a ticker right here as we stand here. Uh, because what I want you guys to do, because what you just said is absolutely true. So many people um, feel like fantasy is over, and it doesn't have to be. Um, because the guys over at Elite Fantasy Sport, I'm sorry, Elite Fantasy Games, EFG.com, I'm gonna put it up here, are still playing.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic pools, fantastic games going on every week. I'm gonna put this up here. Have you got that? Have you had the opportunity to play any of the games? I've played some. I've taken a lot of money home. Zero rake with those guys. Have you got an opportunity to do any of these ones?
I haven't. I was very close a couple times, and I told them when we, months and months and months ago, I said, you know what? Um, the wife would probably play the Grammy one. They said they would probably do something like that. And I said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's not just football. They do fantasy across many aspects of the world, So it's actually, they got a great name. They're doing great things over there. So I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, and here's the fun part. I'm about to put this up. I'm gonna put this up right now. Here it comes. I love these little banners. Uh, well, when they show up. There we go. Your fantasy football end does not have to end. Fix that in a second. Go to EFG to continue winning. Zero rake, ladies and gentlemen. Zero rake. Everybody puts in money. All that money goes back out to the people that play. I love EFG. They manage everything so well, and honestly, they just create really fun games. They're 100% one of the biggest inspirations for the trenches. What brought the trenches about? Just making fantasy games fun, finding new and amazing ways to do it. And EFG.com, go play today. Zero rake. They are so much fun. Love those guys at Elite Fantasy Games. I'm just going to leave that up there because I can. Elite Fantasy Games, your fantasy season does not have to end. Amazing games. And like you said, it's not just football. They do racing contests. They do golf contests. They do contests with the Grammys and the Golden Globes. And we just did one pay-per-view. I did pretty well, and the rules changed. Not rules. There were sub contests with over the entire season. So you had the entire fantasy football season, and then every 2 weeks there was a new sub contest. So that everybody can win. Almost everybody walked out with some money. EFG.com, just fantastic organization and things going on over there. So go check them out. That's my talk on EFG.com. The regular season's over, bud. It's done. There's no more regular season football. We're going to get some amazing playoffs. I'm extremely excited. We'll talk about some of the playoff matchups in a second. But the regular season is done, and that actually brings us to one of my personal favorite times of the year, and that's when we get to talk about how everybody did in fantasy, not just ourselves, and we'll talk about that too, but like the players who finished at number 1 and who finished at number 2, etc. I love this part of the season.
Yeah, because then you get to overthink it when you draft next season, and then
Absolutely.
they shit the bed, and then you're like, well, there goes my season. So overthink this now, overthink it in 6 months, and overthink it in draft day, and you'll really enjoy next season when they don't show up because they were number 1. Although I think Justin Jefferson will probably still show up, but that's neither here nor there. I'll be picking first in one league, and I will be taking Justin Jefferson. No secret there. And if he does anything like Jonathan Taylor did for me, you can count me in the back again. So we'll leave it at that.
Look, here we go, toot toot toot, and I'll be putting this up throughout the remaining weeks of football season. I will revisit all the work and all the stats that I put up, telling you, warning you, giving you the answer to the test well before the test started, that Jonathan Taylor was not going to be the top guy. It doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. It probably will not happen for a long time. When you hear people talk about who's going to be the top guy, who's going to be RB1 for the season, that should be the guy that you do not draft, because it does not end well. It does not end well consistently. Jonathan Taylor, another one. But what scares me most about that statistic is the fact that Austin Ekeler, who I had in many, many leagues, finished at number 1, is almost guaranteed to be the consensus running back 1 pick. And that means the odds are already stacked against him to have a great year next year.
Yeah. I've been watching Austin Ekeler, and I'm like, I need to get this guy. I need to get this guy. And he didn't fall to me in some of the leagues, when I was even a little middle round draft pick, and he exploded. He went off, and most
as he was projected to do.
Yeah. But most importantly, he was healthy. That's the key. If your first rounder goes down, you're gonna have it, unless you drafted perfectly and you have people on the bench scoring 20 points, which doesn't really happen. You got to have a healthy team, and look at any team that made the playoffs. Their team is mostly healthy.
And the thing is, like, obviously it's healthy now, but it was healthy throughout the year as well, and that's what makes a difference. Here's the fun thing about Austin Ekeler. This is what makes him so interesting. Nowhere near close to the top in yards, not even close. Top 10. He might just eke out the top 10. Top 10. No. Yards, I think he's looking to be about 11 or 12 here. So in yardage for your running back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say, sorry about that, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, RB 17 in yardage, RB1 overall by about 24 points here. Because in today's NFL, to be the top, you got to catch the football. And that's what Austin Ekeler does. It's what he does so well. 103 receptions, Roop. He caught 103 balls as a running back. That's
a pretty good target share. When McCaffrey was number 1, he had over 100 as well, I believe.
He would be tied at wide receiver 4. For receptions. That's where Ekeler sits. That's how many receptions he had. There's only 3 receivers in the entire NFL that had more receptions than him. 82 for Christian McCaffrey, which is still huge. But Christian McCaffrey was injured and lost some games. So.
Yeah, you want kind of like when you go to draft and you're looking at a running back, you're not just looking for volume and not workhorse or not 2 workhorses in the backfield fighting over touches. You're looking for the guy who's the workhorse and the guy who's catching passes. Those are the number 1 running backs off the board, hands down. You can get yourself a wide receiver, sure,
but you're both.
Yeah, Eckler's and yeah, you can't. What you said?
But
Wide receiver
McCaffrey's
4?
even more so. Now look, McCaffrey did have more reception yards with less passes. McCaffrey had 21 less receptions, but had 16 more receiving yards. So that tells you what McCaffrey can do when given the chance.
Yeah, well, McCaffrey also rushed for 1, passed for 1, caught 1.
Yeah, threw one in the same
in
game.
one game. So, which does not happen very often. So, you want to look for these players, but also, like I said earlier, health wise, if they stay healthy all season long, don't take a lot of big hits. Those are the guys that normally end up on top. But we don't have any repeat, so Eckler is not going to be the number 1 guy next year.
Right. Exactly. So it could be
Maybe.
Christian McCaffrey if he can stay healthy. It could be the number 3 guy. Any guess on who that is? It's the guy nobody thought would be there except me.
Henry?
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. That's right. Henry's
Josh
like
Jacobs. Not in. Admittedly, I didn't think Josh Jacobs was going to be number 3, but I said Josh Jacobs was going to be a good pick. I said take him. I said grab him. I did warn you that he might not be on the team. That was a word on the street, but clearly going to be on the team next year. Derek Carr probably will not, but Josh Jacobs will be there. RB3. Derrick Henry actually number 4.
Yeah,
and I still think Christian McCaffrey gets comeback player of the year, but the one guy who's given him the absolute most competition, and I wouldn't be mad if walked away with it, is sitting at RB5. Who's that, Rube?
God, I can't even think of like
Comeback.
I'm not even
think comeback. Think was not supposed to be there. Hasn't been there in years.
God, I'm drawing a blank. I can't even think tonight.
Saquon Barkley.
He's 5.
Saquon Barkley is number 5, 284 fantasy points, 30 more, 26 more than Nick Chubb at number 6. An amazing year, 1,300 yards on the ground, 10 visits to pay dirt on the ground as well. 284
half of those points are in like 3 games though. That's why he was like off my radar.
Let me tell you about Saquon Barkley. I haven't even pulled it up yet, and I can tell you that Saquon Barkley had 15 points in all but 3 games. There are only 3 games all season that Saquon Barkley did not have 15 or more points in. The guy was a monster.
Monster. And you know what? A lot of people weren't even taking him till like middle 2nd round.
Yeah,
maybe even 3rd round.
I was worried about him. I took him in one league. I took him in my very last league. And I don't think I got anything. I don't think it paid off. But I did take him. And yeah, RB5. There you go.
You know, and he won me my very first championship, him and McCaffrey, of course. And it's just like they win for you and then they get injured for a couple years and then they fall off the radar, you know, like Josh Jacobs. I couldn't even place him, but he's there. Like, you know, like that's the mistake I'm going to make in one of my drafts next year. No, not Josh Jacobs. He's not a big house name. He's not, but then he does something like this year. And the guy that I beat in the semifinal round had Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs didn't show up enough, and that's why I won.
He had a great couple of games. I don't know how your opponent lost that. Congratulations to you, but I don't know how he lost that. Nick Chubb at number 6, very quietly, with 1,400 yards on the ground. The only person to have more, of course, Josh Jacobs is our rushing leader for the year. If you did not know, Josh Jacobs is the rushing leader. Nick Chubb at number 2, Derrick Henry at number 3. Barkley is number 4 for rushing leaders, rushing yards. But rounding out the top 10, Nick Chubb 6 overall. Tony Pollard at number 7.
Surprise.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to do that well. Aaron Jones at number 8. Ramondre Stevenson at number 9. I remember a little debate. I remember a little debate that 2 of us had one day. Ramondre Stevenson number 9, and we'll round out the top 10 with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson's a great pick. I had him as well. Aaron Jones was one of those guys that just I had him I had him in the 16-team league, and he just didn't show up enough for me. He was riding my bench most of the time. But the sideline scout showing up, showing some love, appreciate it. Absolutely stacked running back class coming in this year. Could see a lot of fantasy relevant rookies. Bijan Robinson from Texas. I'm wondering where he's going to end up. There's some names that are coming out. I'm like, who is really going to show up? Who can actually take? Because it's like you go to the NFL and everybody's the all-star. Everybody's bigger. Everybody's faster. Everybody's stronger. So some of these guys won't pay off.
Some of them won't make it. That's right.
And this is the thing is like Walker on Seattle. He was one of those mid-season pickups that saved some people's seasons, or at least got them a couple extra wins.
Had a great season.
Yeah. So you got to some of these rookies you have to watch. And if you don't do your homework, that's my favorite thing. Some of these are, zero RB. That's fine.
Kenneth Walker is going to be a great, fourth, fifth round pick. If he goes RB 19, I think some people will shoot a little early. He was still RB 19, but not a bad finish for a guy just being asked to step in. Najee Harris actually beat him at RB 14, which is very, very surprising to me. But
was
yeah,
it because he got like 14 catches, or because he had one good game recently?
40 receptions, three receiving touchdowns probably helped. That's pretty good for a back these days. But Aaron Jones had 5 receiving touchdowns, and that definitely helped. Christian McCaffrey, of course, with the 4. Austin Eckler also with 5. So you see those guys again. They, like you said, you talk about who had the most receiving touchdowns.
Was it Eckler?
It's going to blow your mind.
McKinnon.
You are absolutely correct, sir. It is 100% Jared
really?
McKinnon.
I was throwing another
8 receiving touchdowns, 3 more than Eckler and Jones. 8 receiving touchdowns,
and it all happened in the last 6 weeks. That's
it kind of did there, yeah. It was like
the
right at the end of the season. So if you picked him up, you did well.
That was the only guy that came to mind. I was like, this guy wrecked. Like, if you had to play someone with this guy, you were crying like as soon as he stepped on the field. Like, hey, exactly. You got it.
Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Some disappointments. Maybe you thought we'd get more out of this year. DeAndre Swift. Of course, Dameon Pierce got injured. Thought we might get a little more out of him. I know some people really liking AJ Dillon, but that's why he's sitting in the back of position. Jeff Wilson Jr., of course, gets traded midseason. Jonathan Taylor, you should not have expected more of, but people did. I
didn't expect to hear him get hurt that much, but I mean, one person I really I hoped for was Brian Robinson. I thought he would do better. I know. But I mean, he was recovering.
I think you'll hear more about him again next year. It's just he's going to be one of those guys that people are waiting to show up, and it'll just be a matter of if he does.
I mean, he's going to be part of my team. I mean, I know he's not on the greatest team, like a few running backs, like over there in Houston. Like what's happening? They need an offensive line. So Pierce is great, but need the offensive line.
I think Pierce is going to be dominant there for a while. Pop quiz hot shot. Who was the number 1 quarterback in week 18? I know it's week 18, but who was the number 1 quarterback in week 18?
And I didn't watch enough to.
Nobody went over 300 yards. Nobody did.
Okay, it's not the San Francisco guy that we were talking about earlier.
Brock Purdy, no. Nope.
I didn't watch a lot of football this weekend. I'm sorry to say it.
Davis Mills.
What?
Davis Mills in the win that cost them the first round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw him throw.
All they had to do was lose that game to get the first round pick. No.
Like, listen, I get it.
You play to win. You play the game to win. You play the game to win. You play to win.
Listen, you know how relaxing it is to know who you're taking number 1? And I get it. There's a lot of drama around it. So maybe you say, I can pick one of these 2 guys. Let's just settle for second. Let's get a win. Let's go out strong. I get that. You don't want, like, you have 2 guys, but you want one a little bit more. And now it's
so crazy because look, let's nestle in, kids. Grab your hot cocoa and your blanket. Daddy's going to tell you a little bedtime story. There once was a team called the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, who were predicted by myself. It's the end of the season. You're allowed to toot your own horn. This is the one show. It was. The Chicago Bears were my pick for the worst record in the NFL. Barely eked it out. Thanks to the Houston Texans for wanting to win that game. Houston Texans are coached by a man named Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith could have had the first round pick. You know what you get for getting the second round pick? You get fired. That's what happens. You get fired for not for winning a game as a coach, which is what you're supposed to do, unless you're up for the first round pick. And if you win the game, you get fired. Lovie Smith, storied and fabled coach of which NFL team? The Chicago Bears, who finished last and got that first round pick.
So who do
Chicago
they take?
gets first pick. Houston will get the second. Does it really make a difference? Joe Burrow was picked QB2. That's what he was projected to be, and we see where that happens. So maybe not such a bad thing. But
We know the Bears aren't taking a quarterback.
They are not taking a quarterback. We'll get to that in a second.
So that actually helps.
I'm not sure that Justin Fields is a quarterback in the future, but wait till you hear these numbers. These numbers are just stupid. They're dumb. They're amazing is what they are. Amazingly lopsided. Travis Kelce, of course, is your tight end one. You have a 50-50 shot at tight end two.
No, it wasn't Dalton Schultz.
It was not. Well, it's not really a 50-50 shot. I guess you have a 50-50 shot at tight end 3 or 4. Tight end, I guess tight end 2 could surprise you. And this is fantasy points, by the way. This isn't yardage or touchdowns or anything. This is fantasy points because this is a fantasy show. An actually highly touted tight end, Mr. TJ Hawkinson. I think he probably went tight end 5 over the drafts. Finishes at tight end number 2 with the points, with the 212, not the number 1 touchdown guy.
As soon as you started talking about 3 and 4, and I was thinking Evan Ingram, and I was like, "What? Like, why is he throwing me off?" I'm trying to think of
number 5.
Number 5. Okay, so he had a pretty decent.
There's 2 guys that should come to mind at tight end position after Kelce automatically. I wouldn't have got Hawkinson at number 2 either, but I know who number 3 and number 4 are.
Mark Andrews, Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz.
No.
Mark
Andrews and George Kittle, of course. Dalton Schultz actually finishing at number 9. Mark Andrews, yeah, he's the only guy that should be at number 2, and George Kittle is the only guy that should be given competition.
And he was number 2 last season too. So
he was indeed. Here's the fun part: Mark Andrews had 5 touchdowns, where George Kittle had 9. Again, we're talking about numbers, and Mark Andrews got 9 more points than 9 more points than did our friend George Kittle. I actually love George Kittle. I drafted George Kittle as much as I could. I was lucky enough to acquire Andrews in one league at some point. But if you can't get Kelce, get Andrews or Kittle. And other than that, hope you get lucky throughout the year with the Hawkinson or an Ingram or something like that. Freiermuth coming in at 6, which is surprising to me. Higbee 7. Having a major malfunction with my mic right here. The tight end position, we've talked about this before. If you don't have Kelce, then just take someone else.
Yeah, that's true. But see, Mark Andrews had trouble throughout the season, and
he had an injury.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson, struggling as well, and injuries. Like Lamar Jackson started out crazy hot. Like there was a team in my league. He had Mark Andrews and Hurts, I think, and they were just dominant. And then all of a sudden, people are dropping like flies. And when that happens and injuries start catching up, that's not a good look. It really frustrates you as a manager. I found out I'm actually a terrible manager, by the way, because I love me some bench points. Bench points are my favorite. So I hope you just stay leaned over, and there it is.
My mic has decided that it does not want to secure it anymore, and so we're just going to hold it like this. Is how we're doing. It's Vegas now. And this is how we're doing it.
Is this going to be a ballad? I hope it's a ballad.
It might be a duet. But yeah, Kelsey easily finishing number one, not even close. 1,300 yards, number two, 898. 12 touchdowns. Number two would be Kittle with 9 in the touchdown department. I mean, Kelsey's just an entirely different animal. Almost 100 yards, almost 100 fantasy points more than Hawkinson. He's a beast. He's a man child, and you should have him on your team.
I'm in a keeper league, and both Andrews and Kelsey were keepers, and I'm sure Kelsey is going to be a keeper again.
Yeah, no, that 100% until he like breaks something or gets something cut off, he's definitely in. Kickers, if you play him, Brett Maher finishing at number 1, Daniel Carlson, who I rode all year long, at number 2, Justin Tucker, the highest paid kicker in the league, at number 3, 1 point behind 2 actually, Jason Myers and Graham Gano. I have to mention Eddie Pinheiro with Carolina because he's tied with Graham Gano. So was Nick Folk, and so was Tyler Bass. 4-way tie at 141 between Tyler Bass, Nick Folk, Eddie Pinheiro, and Graham Gano. Just showing you that kickers can be valuable points-wise, but you can always find a kicker.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's like you said, 3-kicker league, that changes things. But
well, yeah, that was thank you, Elite Fantasy Games. Go check them out, www.elitefantasygames.com. 3 kickers in the league. It was a lot of fun. What do we have? We had 12 teams, I think. 12 teams, 3 kickers. Do the math.
Yeah, it's not going to work out. I mean, you almost you just go ahead and take those kickers a little early, and
somebody got their roster wiped every single week until everybody had their roster wiped at least once.
God,
yeah,
terrible.
It was fun. It was a fun one. Top defense. You'll appreciate this. Who's the top defense
Patriots.
in the league group?
Patriots.
Straight. I wonder, again, it brings to mind a debate I saw.
Oh, come on. That was for the next week, not for the entire season.
Man, it was weird.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You picked a defense that was already
top 10 defense.
Yeah, already a top defense, correct. You can't take players.
Still under-owned.
My picks were Justin Jefferson, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes. You can't take number 1 defenses when you're trying to debate. That doesn't count. And we're trying to do pickup players. I don't want to hear it.
Look, I call them as I see them. Dallas Cowboys at number 2.
Yep, I had them number 1.
The New England Patriots. It's funny how the defenses go. There's almost a 20-point jump between. So number 1 was New England, dropped 20 points to Dallas Cowboys, dropped 20 points to the Eagles, who are tied with the San Francisco 49ers, Buffalo Bills. But let's look at what all that comes down to. The Patriots did not make the playoffs, but the Cowboys are in the playoffs. The Eagles are in the playoffs. The Niners are in the playoffs. The Bills are in the playoffs. I believe the Ravens are in the playoffs. The Jags are in the playoffs.
Yep.
Packers just missed it. And then we skip over the Jets. Seattle's in the playoffs. Kansas City's in the playoffs. So, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Of the top 11 teams, it looks like 8, I think, made the playoffs this year. So get yourself a defense if you want to go to the show.
NFL type, not necessarily fantasy. It does help depending on your scoring system. And I do not like playing in leagues where defenses can get negative points. I can't stand it. It's competitive. I don't care. It's either points or 0. Don't give me. Don't invite me to a negative league. I don't care.
I will not. Number 1 wide receiver. I know you know this one.
Justin Jefferson, of course.
1,700 yards. He is your yardage leader. Not number 1 in touchdowns. Actually, like I say, not close, but definitely well outdone in touchdowns. But 1,700, almost 1,800 yards. Number 2, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Number 3 is also your number 1 in touchdowns, your touchdown leader with
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. Number 4.
He's setting records over there.
He really is. But now he lost Carr, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. If he gets a better quarterback, does he put up bigger numbers? Or
we'll talk about that later, but yeah.
We will. Stephon Diggs at number 4. Number 5. not really surprising, but easy not to think about.
AJ Brown.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, AJ Brown at number 5. A lot of expectations for him this year. Finishes with 11 touchdowns. It looks like that's number 2. So he got you your touchdowns in order to get those points. 1,400 yards, not too shabby. CeeDee Lamb at 6.
I think we talked about Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 7. Who saw that coming?
I did, because I saw him last year and he was going off in like at the end of the season. I was thinking this guy's going to go early in the drafts. And guess what? He didn't go early in the draft. He was sitting there, around 5, 6, 7. I'm like, how is this guy not picked up yet? I'm like, this is back-to-back seasons. I'm going to do it. I'm taking him next season. Like, I have to. Like, this guy is showing up. He's still the number 1 guy. I am really worried about that new guy there. He just came off of injury. Williams. He wasn't Williams. Yeah, he's just I'm worried of that. That's why I'm not sure what to do with it. So
I think St. Brown has probably secured his spot, at least as far as that goes. Jalen Waddle at number 8. Just crazy to see Hill at 2 and Waddle at 8. Disgusting. And you've got AJ Brown at 5 and Devontae Smith at 9.
Hey, Devonta Smith showed up this year, but he didn't for me last year. I appreciate that.
7 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, and rounding it out, number 10. Very surprising. I don't think you'll get number 10.
Okay.
You're gonna have to get outside the box on this one.
Only because of injury. Ja'Marr Chase.
Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper finishes at number 10. I'll go a little deeper with receivers. 11 is Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett at 12, T. Higgins at 13. If you can believe that, it's because of the
Mike
injury.
Evans was probably like not top 20 till like a week or two ago. Yeah. He got like 3 touchdowns.
He's only got 16 touchdowns on the year, but he's got 1,100 yards. So put up.
Yeah, he got like 200 something that game. So
yeah, that's right. T. Higgins at 13 because of that injury you talked about. Christian Kirk at 14. That one's super surprising to me.
What is not surprising. That was my late round pick. I had him in one league. I was able to snag him up. Somebody else was paying attention when I was talking about him. Christian Kirk is the guy.
I was very anti-Kirk.
I was not. I said he's going over there. He's gonna play for the Jaguars. He's gonna be the number 1 guy. Oh, like if you're looking for a guy, go for the number 1 guy on the team. And that was him.
No, I mean I hear you, but I just did not.
A late round. He's like an 8th, 9th round pick, number 1 wide receiver on the team. Like it's like getting Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 7th round.
Well, I thought that's what you were going to get. I thought you were going to get an 8th, 9th round performance, but finishes a wide receiver 14. Ja'Marr Chase at 15, DK Metcalf at 16. I only mentioned it because Lockett is also sitting there at 11. But Ja'Marr Chase 15. We know he had the injury. Fantastic performance when he was able to play. Let's see, all double-digit scores, a couple 30-point games, a couple 29-point games. The only game he didn't, of course, is the Buffalo game that essentially didn't happen. So all double-digit scores. The lowest I see here, I do see an 11. I see a couple 12s, but yeah, a majority of times well into the 20s. Ja'Marr Chase, no big surprise. I think the big surprise is that he only finished at 15. I think that was probably the surprise there.
Yeah. Well, he should have been higher, but of course, injuries and games canceled. Remember, he didn't play a full game. So a couple, another 80 or so yards roughly is probably what he could have done, safe floor.
Yeah. Kind of surprises. Cortland Sutton at 45. Keenan Allen at 48. We know he battled a lot of injuries.
Don't get me started with Los Angeles Chargers wide receivers. I had a piece of that, Williams or him, in every league.
I had both.
Yeah, it hurt my seasons for sure.
It actually got me a championship, but it was because of how I played during the injuries. And I didn't really like the way I got the championship, but we can talk about that later.
I'm ready to talk about that.
Deebo Samuel at 35. Would have thought he finished. He had some injuries. DeAndre Hopkins at 41. Pickens actually is at 43. I would have thought he'd be a little higher. Obviously, a lot of tension on him this year, but he finishes at 43. Daubs finishes at 66. Started off hot and then disappeared. Daubs, however you want to call it. Chase Claypool, people trying to justify that trade, finishes at 70. I'm trying to see if there's like any like just shocking. Allen Robinson, people expect a lot out of him. Didn't happen
again.
Plenty of people not expecting a lot out of him as well, though. Nobody really with the Rams. Yeah, I mean, nothing big here. Hunter Renfrow at 103. That's what happens when Adams comes over. Duvernay finishing outside the top 50. Drake London at 38. That's a good thing.
That's a great thing for next season.
Yeah, that's agreed. Chris Olave at 25. Zay Jones
that's
at
another
24.
Great thing.
Garrett Wilson at 22.
Those are 3 wide receivers that you can target if you go running back heavy early on.
Yeah, no, 100%. Those guys will be money for you later. And so let's get to the position, if you will. We know QB1 is Patrick Mahomes. Just destroyed it this year. Over 5,000 yards, 5,048, 40 touchdowns. That's the thing. 40 touchdowns. That doesn't happen very often. 5,000 yards, you usually get one lately because of the way the game has changed.
But you know what? Nobody got 50 this year. Nobody was
got
close
50.
to 50.
40 touchdowns. That's disgusting. 414 fantasy points. QB2?
Josh Allen.
And of course, almost 1,000 yards behind, though. Almost 1,000 yards behind. 4,062. QB3.
Had to be. It's not the guy from Minnesota. He sucks. Joe Burrow?
Jalen Hurts. Joe Burrow coming in at number 4. QB5.
Biggest shocker?
Yes.
Got to be Geno.
Number 6. Justin Fields is QB5. But here's the thing.
I'm close. This is.
Remember, we're talking about fantasy points here. So a respectable 2,200 yards passing for Justin Fields. It's not shake a stick at. It's not top. It's not, there's plenty of guys underneath him that have 4,000 yards. Trevor Lawrence has 3,900, but Kirk Cousins has 4,300 yards. Jared Goff has 42. Tom Brady has 46. Herbert has 44. So there's guys down there with yards, not a huge amount of yards passing. Guess who's number 1 in interceptions?
Dak Prescott?
Kirk Cousins, actually, followed by Derek Carr. Dak Prescott is number 3. Josh Allen, your QB2. We talked about this at the beginning of the season about interceptions not being such a benchmark.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like Josh Allen, doesn't matter. He can throw 2-3 interceptions and still get you a 25, 30-point game. And I believe a couple years ago, Ben Roethlisberger said, "Look, I threw the ball 50 times. What do you expect? I'm going to get a couple interceptions." So like he shut down the everybody was like, "Hey, listen, you can't throw 100 passes and not get an interception."
542 attempts for Josh Allen. 542.
Yeah,
only a couple people ahead of that. Burrow's got 568. Patrick has 622. Justin Fields sitting behind. I'm just going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9th in interceptions, but he's got names like Joe Burrow ahead of him. He's got Patrick Mahomes ahead of him. He's got Josh Allen ahead of him, Dak Prescott ahead of him, and Kirk Cousins ahead of him. So again, interceptions not meaning as much anymore. But here's the fun part. This is what I wanted to get to. Obviously, number 1 in rushing for a quarterback, Justin Fields. Number 2 in rushing. Kind of surprising, actually. Number 2 in rushing.
Yeah, well, he had his. Yeah, I think
he's not number 2. Justin Fields is number 1. I'm asking you, who's number 2?
Jalen Hurts.
No.
I know he has the most touchdowns. Okay.
Number 4. Most touchdowns. 13 rushing touchdowns by far. Yeah, by far the most.
Hola, Aurora. Welcome to the debate. I don't know who rushed more than Josh Allen,
Josh Allen is
Jalen
number 3.
Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields are not so. Oh God.
Number 2 is Lamar Jackson, the guy you expect to be there, except he had so many injuries. Imagine
He's
if he
still
played the
there?
whole season. Yeah,
Oh,
imagine if he played the whole
yeah,
season.
because he was putting up like 40, 50 burgers in the first couple of weeks, and I
Insane.
was like, this guy, like whoever had him on the team was going to win, and he is his own agent, so he doesn't have an agent. He didn't re-sign. Like I don't know what's going to happen because he didn't finish the season. And
Someone will grab him.
Baltimore,
They'll be fine.
yeah,
Josh Allen 760, Lamar Jackson 764, Justin Fields. How many rushing yards do you think Justin Fields had?
no clue. I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna go look a stat somewhere. Oh, come on. Let's see. Yeah, let's update Justin.
You can't cheat.
Oh, well, it has to be over 1,000, right?
1143. Good enough for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 RB6. Good enough for RB6 at quarterback.
He might hurt you some weeks, but he's going to win you some games too.
To put that in perspective, number 2, Lamar Jackson, I can't even way down. like well outside the top.
Nailed it, or we don't know where he's going either. I don't know. It's probably going to fall
outside the top 30 in rushing, but Fields would have finished RB6. Obviously, he finishes RB1, but like you said, Jalen Hurts, 13 rushing touchdowns, disgusting.
Yeah.
No, that's a
pretty good timeshare. Yeah, that's gonna win you some games.
RB1 had 15. Jalen Hurts would have tied with Eckler and Derrick Henry for RB2 in touchdowns. 3-way tie. Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry. This is the league that we live in. We got quarterbacks finishing at RB6. We got running backs finishing at RB2, I'm sorry, for touchdowns. We got running backs finishing at the tops for wide receivers. It's what's going on? There's just offense any way you can get it.
I know it's happening, and I say it to myself quietly every year. I'm going to wait on a quarterback. I am going to wait on a tight end next year. I don't care. I'm going to take a late rounder and just stream those all
season. If I'm not getting
long.
Kelsey, if I don't have that 10th pick, that 11th, 12th pick, something like that, if I'm not going around the horn, yeah.
If I can get him with the last pick in the second round, I'll take Kelsey. But before that, I can't find it in myself. I didn't see many people in the finals with Kelsey. So tells me something.
That's true.
It's great to get you a couple wins here and there, but Kelsey's not going to win your league for you.
So here's the thing with the quarterbacks, right? That the usual suspects at the top that we knew were going to be there: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts may have slipped a little bit. He didn't go QB3, but he probably went QB5, 6, something like that. Joe Burrow at number 4, he probably went kind of early, and then it goes off the rails. And that's what you're talking about waiting on a QB. Yeah, we talked about number 5, Justin Fields, number 6, Geno Smith. Lie to me and tell me you saw that coming. Daniel Jones at 7, Trevor Lawrence at 8, Kirk Cousins at 9. We knew he'd be top 10.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins is your safe floor, safe ceiling.
Yeah. Jared Goff at number 10, Tom Brady at 11. I took him too early. A lot of people did. Justin Herbert at 12, disappointing. A lot of people taking him in the top 5. Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua. Tua, unfortunately, getting hurt, would have finished much higher, I think. Obviously, the big disappointments, I will throw Herbert in with that disappointments. I'll throw Lamar Jackson in with the disappointments. Aaron Rodgers at 14.
I had Herbert on 3 or 4 teams this year. So
yeah,
you know where I finished.
You should expect him to finish top 10 at least.
And you know what? He still had really good yards, just not the touchdowns.
Number 1 touchdowns in the league, Adams. Number 1 in rushing yards, Jacobs. Number 16 in quarterbacks, Derek Carr. I don't know how it's possible, but there you go. Derek Carr outside even the top 15. Russell Wilson, of course, a huge disappointment at 17. I told everybody at the beginning, I will say it again next year. I will say it every year. You get your bag. You will not perform. You will not put up the numbers. Nobody got a bigger bag than Kyler Murray. Finishes at QB 18.
And they just fired their coach.
Yeah. Prescott finishes at 20. I know people expecting a lot more out of him. And then really no real big surprise. I think people probably thought a little more out of Tannenhill than 26. But I mean, other than that, you got guys you just kind of rolling the dice on.
I think I got Dak like 5th or 6th round at the end of it. And I'm like, oh, you guys are going to hand him to me? I was like, I guess I'll take one right here. I mean,
sure.
It's not a bad spot, not great, but he didn't perform like a 5th rounder would be. So
for me, the top disappointment had to be Jameis Winston. I had a lot of stock in him. I thought he was going to have a really, really great year. Obviously, he didn't play most of it. And then when he was able to play, they wouldn't put him in. So Jameis Winston, once again, up in question, kind of the Deshaun Watson 2.0, if you will. Great quarterback, great skills.
I had him both on one team. That was fun too.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's not pretty. Sometimes it happens. It's fine. You win some, you lose some, like we heard. It just happens.
So let's talk about win some, lose some. See, you said you got a championship and you also got last place.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that first round pick or the first pick. And I'm not going to mess that up. That's like hoping.
Famous last words.
I have 2 really good and bad things to say. I don't know how you want to place them. My favorite part about championship weekend in my championship team was I had 2 tight ends. And I was like, well, I got to roll with Cole Kmet. The last time they played Detroit, what happened? Him and Justin Fields went off. What did I do? I put him and Justin Fields in. Let's go. Yeah. Do you know who? Guess which tight end I cut before the game to make room just in case I needed somebody else at a later time?
Maybe an Ingram?
Dalton Schultz.
No way I would have said that. No way I would have
said that. You have no idea how hard it was to watch. I was like, Cole Kmet's my guy. I'm going to ride it. Like I put him in. He got there's 2 touchdowns.
1 week left, right?
Yeah. And what does Dalton Schultz do? He goes out and gets 3 touchdowns. And I wanted to cry. I was like, I'm a bad manager. I can't lead. I was beating myself up. I'm like, what are you doing? Like it was the worst thing I've ever done. And Dalton Schultz has been, I'm going to say it, garbage for the last month and a half. And what does he do in the championship? Just my quarterback's just dumping off to him. I get it. We're getting touchdowns. Yeah, but at least my quarter. I don't know. Did I play my quarterback? I can't even remember because I was crying so bad. Okay, yeah. So I did play Dak that last week. Yeah, it was.
What about your championship? Let's talk about good things. Tell me about your championship.
Everybody told me not to play Davante Adams, and I had to shut it down because everybody told me.
One of them.
Yep. Everybody told me a week or 2 before, you got to play Justin Fields.
Week 17, though, right? This is a week 17 championship?
Week 17. Week 16, I think everyone's like, you got to play Justin Fields. You got to play Justin Fields. He's sitting on my bench. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And everybody kept telling me, like, put him in. I was like, so I made that last-minute switch, and, man, did that hurt. I mean, it killed me. And
my wife actually lost the playoffs because of that. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that was the one I won by 0.5 or something ridiculous. And so this time I'm like, nobody was like, hey, don't play Davante Adams. It wasn't just you. It was things that I was reading, like, oh, like Derek Carr's not there. And I'm like, I can't sit my stud again. I can't do it. And I put him in and he got like 37 points. I don't know. Like just tossing him the ball. And I'm like, you know how I would have lost and I would have been crying for at least probably through this show into next weekend if I left Davante Adams on the bench. And I'm glad I didn't. Even if he got 10 points, I'm like, yeah, well, what do you expect? But I'm glad I didn't sit him because that would have cost me the game.
No, he performed well. Unknowingly, I did not see it. And what happened was you had, and we talked about this on Trinity, you had Stidham come in, no tape, and he was able to eat up the defense. And normally when the quarterback come in, we talk about this. I talk about this all the time. When you get a new quarterback, pick up the second guy. So you'd want to head a Renfro in this chance. And Renfro caught a couple balls, but Stidham was actually smart enough to know throw it to the best guy on the field, and he threw the hell out of that ball to Adams, and it paid off.
And Adams, I think, caught it probably one or two of them that were like ESPN ready, like greatest catches of all.
11 targets, 7 receptions, 153 yards and 2 touchdowns, 34 points. Finished at wide receiver 2. Just a fantastic week that a lot of us didn't see coming. You, young man, had the foresight, and you pull yourself a championship out of it.
Yeah, I've sat studs before, and it's paid off 0 times. So when I sit them, they score, and when I play them, they score. I just, Justin Fields should have done better, but you can't. Nobody's 100% on anything they've ever done. So I'll take the hit, and sometimes you just got to go with your gut instincts and believe them. And this was the second week in a row where I said my gut instinct says just play them. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and then I could just sit back and say I should have listened. But this time I can say I saved myself, and
you did.
I got lucky, like listen, you can't get a career game or a season high in the championship and be like, oh, I knew that. I didn't know that. Like I expected 80 yards, maybe a touchdown, 5 catches, something like that. Maybe like that would have been like, okay, that was safe. But he outperformed for sure, 100%.
Well, I definitely had a couple I had a last place. Had a not great finish, I think 9th or something like that. I think you did you win? Did you end up winning the toilet bowl?
I did not, because Joe Mixon didn't play that week. I won by default, so technically I didn't win the toilet trophy, but I'm technically still last place because the toilet trophy is just a trophy.
Sure,
but yeah, that guy won last year, and he was last this year, and he's still coming back next year. So.
I came in a second place finish. Yeah, it was okay. I took some money home, so I'm not mad about that. I think I pretty much covered this year with that win. That was actually the Elite Fantasy Games where you had sub contests during the season. So I won quite a few of the sub. Yeah, I won quite a few of the sub contests, especially at the end. But can't finish second overall. It's funny because one of the contests. All the sub contests go over 2 weeks, and so I was head to head with the first place guy for the team sub contest, and I actually won that. I barely eked it out. I didn't think I was going to win it, but I did. So I won the contest between me and him heads up, but he was first place for the league. So I finished second place in the league. Kind of confusing, but that's what Elite Fantasy Games does. They provide opportunities for everybody to win. And so I win the head-to-head with the first place guy, but he wins first place overall. So I finished second overall. I'm not mad about that. The championship I took down, little controversial, not the way you want to win it. It involved the Week 17 tragedy. And of course, that game got canceled. And because that game got canceled, commissioners are kind of forced to make a decision. What are you going to do? You involve Week 18 points. I saw one league that's actually involving the playoff points because both those teams were in the playoffs. So they decided to scrap Week 18. They're taking the points out of Week 19, if you will, first round of the playoffs because both those teams are in. A lot of different scenarios you could do. I offered a co-championship. He didn't. That my competitor did not want to do a co-championship, thought that we should do the Week 18 points. I am also the commissioner in that league, which made it very hard to come to a decision because I'm in the championships and the decision I make is going to affect both the teams. Fortunately, I consider myself I really sat back and took an unbiased look. I kind of checked it with the rest of the league. Everybody agreed with me that I was unbiased. Again, I don't say that to toot my own horn, but what had happened is the platform we were playing on with Yahoo decided that since the game didn't happen and wasn't going to happen, that those players were going to get 0 points. And being that we had played by the platform rules all year, as a commissioner, I said we will stick to the platform rules and what the platform says. The platform said that the players from that game were going to get 0 points. Unfortunately, my opponent had a couple of those players. Even if we had done the week 18 points, I still would have won by like I think it was like 1.15 points or something like that.
Okay.
So that felt a little better, at least, that I would have won had we done that. My opponent was not happy
I believe that. Yeah.
that we went with and then understandably, I would not have been happy if I'd been on the other side of it either. But my opponent did put it out on a lot of social media, put it out, obviously, voices dissatisfaction within the chat. And I did feel better. A lot of people said the same thing. Hey, look, if you go with the platform rules and the platform says you lost, then you lost. It's like not a big deal. I understand my opponent's frustration. I definitely would have been frustrated myself. I like to think I would have handled it a little better, and that's nothing against my opponent because everybody handles their emotions differently. But anyway, that was the championship I won. Not the way I want to win it, but it is a win, and so I can say I won the championship. And I can say I won it fair. I can say I won it by the rules. I just won it due to an unfortunate incident.
And I do want to touch on that.
And for a lot of commissioners, I think.
Yeah, I think you did the right thing because a buddy of mine, we're heading into the championship, and I had been joking with them all season. I'm like, listen, Josh Allen's going to destroy me. Can we just split it and just call it? And he's like, ha ha ha. We're joking. Like, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. We never came down to like, yeah, we'll split it and just call it, and we'll put whoever wins on the trophy. And then the injury happened, and I was like, what do I do? I'm the commissioner. I have to make a call, but I'm in the championship, and what I say may change the outcome. And I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. I've checked a lot of different sources and what they're doing and how it's going to do. Is like, how do you feel? And do we split or do we just call it? Because I didn't feel right making a choice. I was like, some guy's fighting for his life. And then I was like, well, he never answered. And then the next morning, they said, well, the points are what the points are. If they replay the game, they replay the game. And I was like, well, great. I won by default, And I thought about it, I was like, I still didn't feel right about it, right? And I had to step back and think, okay, I'm the commissioner. I'm in the game. That's fine. I didn't choose to play a team on Monday night with nobody else to fill in or anything like that. So you play your team and hope that they play a full game, and you can't replace them after they already start, of course. But I was thinking that's a really difficult decision, but also it's a Monday night game in the championship. Weather could be a factor. Lightning.
And that's really what it comes down to. You're hitting the nail on the head right now, because it's just the same as a player getting injured. It's the same. I mean, the game could have got canceled for any reason. It's unfortunate for the reason it did get canceled, but I mean, it could have got canceled for weather. It could have gotten canceled for some COVID. A ton of the players had COVID and they couldn't play. The NFL could have chose to postpone it. They chose to cancel it, and unfortunately, that's not on the commissioner, whether it's you, me, or anybody else. That's on the NFL. The NFL decided to cancel the game. It's very easy to get emotional, and I have zero fault with any commissioner making a decision however they did it. If they wanted to use 18 points or the playoff points or split the pot or use the playoff average, use last season's average, whatever they wanted to do. What I applaud is the commissioner making a decision in a tough circumstance. And because if you're not the commissioner, I don't think you really understand how hard that was, especially like we were involved in the game. But for ours, I felt like the best move was to go with the league rules, and the league decided that those players got the points that they got, which in this case was 0 because the game didn't happen.
My favorite
that my opponent had those players and wasn't playing someone else. But again, it could have been either of us. It could have been any player, and it could have, a player can get 0 points for so many reasons.
Yeah. Pull a hammy warm-ups and don't check your lineup. My favorite part about the championship is not only Josh Allen only scoring like 3 points, but I sent that guy 6, 7, 8 trades trying to get Josh Allen throughout the year, giving him Dalton Schultz and Dak Prescott. No joke, I would have got slaughtered. and he never
Yeah.
took him. He said he doesn't trade. And I'm like, dude, I'll give you that. I was like, what about a draft pick, Dalton Schultz, or Justin Fields?
Would you have traded Josh Allen though? I mean, honestly, even if you did trade, would you trade Josh Allen?
It's a 2
I don't
QB
think-
league, and you could stack the QBs pretty good. And I was giving him, he didn't have a tight end, and I was going to offer a draft pick. I was like, what can I give you? He just never responded. He's like, yeah, I just don't trade. And I'm like, okay. If he would have traded any of those, he would have won. Any
There
of
you
them.
go.
All
And that's how it goes.
I left one trade up for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Never took it.
That's fantasy football.
I can't feel bad.
That's how it is. That's why we love this game, is because it doesn't always go our way. Sometimes it does,
and
you never know what's going to happen week to week. Between the beginning of the year and the end of the year, you draft DeAndre Swift and he ends up outside the top 20. You take a flyer on Josh Jacobs and he ends up RB number 3. I mean, these things. That's why we love this game. Again, it's unfortunate that someone had to get hurt, but we have to take emotion out of it, and it's not the hurt person that decided the game. It was so many other factors that brought players zeros, and it's just unfortunate people had zeros. What if you replayed the top 3 spots? You can do that.
Well,
Look, like I said, there's no wrong answer here. A commissioner just has to make a choice and a decision, and once that decision's made, that's what all the players have to go with. That's why they're the commissioner. If you don't like it, don't play again next year. If you don't like the outcome, honestly, I say come back and take another run at it. But
and win, and then rub it in some faces, talk some trash. Great question, Caleb. The funny thing about that is a lot of the leagues that I saw, the people in the championship were not the top scores for that week. Like I saw 2 or 3 people above them just like coming out of nowhere. The teams that are already out of the playoffs probably didn't even check their lineups. Their team scoring like 175 points. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
our number 1 guy has finished number 1 the last 5 years. And he's never won the championship because it doesn't finish in the playoffs. It's so heartbreaking for him. He was one of the guys. Honestly, everybody, I felt so much love as a commissioner. Everybody in the league had my back except the one guy who lost. And again, I hold no ill will against him. I understand his frustration. I would have been frustrated as well. Even if I didn't handle it the same way, I definitely would have felt the same way that he felt. So again, no ill will to him at all, but it was nice to see everybody in the league kind of understand. I think he will too, once his emotions have time
to cool off a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks to be so close and get second. I mean, it really does. I've been there. I've actually lost to the guy who snuck into the playoffs with a losing record because other people were terrible.
I was the last seed. I was the second seed all year. I eked in. I lost a couple of key games at the end. I was the last seed in the playoffs, and I end up winning the championship under these circumstances. But it's still, that's the way it plays out.
Yeah, I lost to like 6-18, which is garbage.
I definitely had a team that finished dead last and well-deserved dead last. It wasn't pretty. As we finish out the last show of the regular season, we would be remiss if we didn't mention college chaos. It was definitely chaotic for the first quarter.
It was uneventful. It was boring, and it could have been another team.
Watching, I turned it off before the first quarter was over.
I was, talking on the phone, and, I paused it and I had it recording and everything like that. And I was watching, like, okay, this could be good. And then I'm like, fast forward. And I was already in the third quarter. I'm like, I could be watching anything else, but it's over. It's been over. It was the closest time it was scored is there was 15 minutes left in the first quarter. That's the closest the game was. And it was lights out after that.
It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Look, this is
who are you going for?
What's that?
Who are you going for? We got 6 games to choose this weekend.
Oh, we do. You know what? Let's do that real quick. Let's knock that out. Do you have it up in front of you?
Yeah, I got it up.
Sure, let's do that.
Seattle, San Francisco.
Do you have the numbers for last season? How we did?
The entire season? No.
Who won the college?
I think you won. You dominated the college.
Did I? Yeah, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were. I was 4-16. You were 10-10.
Oh, I'll take 10-10. That's a push. That's a win.
And
I didn't lose that
yeah,
many
and
there.
I think I don't know. Yeah, I was 10-5 in NFL, and you were 13-2. You dominated
Ooh,
in
well,
yeah. So
there you go.
so we're gonna have to start fresh. So I'm not playing that game.
It's
So
the playoffs. It's a whole new
it's the
season.
playoffs. So yeah. So
Brand new
Seattle,
season.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
I had to write it down because I didn't have time. Yeah, I'm going to there also. We got the Chargers at Jacksonville.
I think that's the game of the week. I think that's the one that could go either way. They are playing in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I'm going to take Doug Peterson. I'm taking the pedigree. I'm actually going to take Jacksonville
Jacksonville.
against my best judgment. Again, I had Allen, Eckler, and Williams all on the same team, the championship team. They definitely won me some games together.
You went to triple stack?
I think it's going to be a great game. That's the game I want to
Okay.
watch all week.
Okay. I'm actually going to take the Chargers.
There we go.
Miami at Buffalo.
I will take Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm going to go Buffalo. Also,
They're on a literal mission right now. I will take Buffalo.
New York Giants at Minnesota.
That's another good one.
I'll tell you first, Minnesota.
The thing is I'm a very defensive guy. Neither of these have like fantastic defense, but the Giants clearly have a much better defense. Saying that Minnesota's offense is absolutely ridiculous, obviously with wide receiver one. I'm gonna get. God, I hate.
Yeah, they're gonna. If Jefferson,
where's it at?
3.5,
where's it at?
It's in Minnesota.
Okay, I'll take Minnesota because of that. And
yeah,
I was about to take the Giants, but I will take Minnesota.
Yeah, at home, and they're not really. They're quietly in the playoffs. Baltimore at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. They beat them before. They'll beat them again. Cincinnati, 100%.
Yeah, I'm going Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I don't think they're going to slow down at all. And, of course, Dallas at Tampa Bay.
Fun fact, Brady has never lost to Dallas in his entire career. He's 7-0 against Dallas. Dallas fans tell me they are going to lose. I just don't believe in – normally I would say never bet against the GOAT. Honestly, if I was betting money, I probably wouldn't. But I'm going to take Dallas.
I think also taking Dallas. Yeah, I just think Brady and that team is just haven't really been the cohesive unit that they, everybody hopes for. I hate going against Brady in December, in the playoffs in January. I'm not about that life.
Surprised to lose that one.
Yeah, this is almost a coin flip for me. It just okay. If Mike Evans and Brady show up, okay, with Godwin and stuff, but I think Dallas is just the better all-around team, and I think they can get it done. Even though
I believe in defenses, I think Dallas has the better defense. If you pressure Brady, Dallas finished with defense number 2. I think they were number 6 in interceptions. I can't remember what they were.
If I was the coach of Dallas, I would say we're going to get after Brady. We're going to get him frustrated early, and we're going to blitz a lot, really often, and just get in his face. Because when he gets angry, he gets frustrated too much, and if you get him frustrated,
so bad. Dallas is number 3 in sacks on the year. So I just think Dallas can pull this one off. It's their game to lose.
Okay, so the only one we're split on is the Jacksonville game.
There you
that's
go.
The only one. So
I think that's going to be the best game of the weekend. I do think the Giants, Minnesota is going to be good. I think Tampa Bay and Dallas is going to be good. But I really think the most fun game to watch this weekend is going to be that Chargers Jacksonville game. I think it's the first game too, unfortunately. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
No, it's the Saturday night game.
Saturday night game. Good.
Yeah. So we'll have to throw a little side bet or something and
absolutely
figure something, because this is really going to decide the first round. And then next week we can get those 2 new teams in, the Eagles and the Bills, and obviously
Well, who's Miami playing? You said Miami and the Bills. Who's Miami playing?
Oh, sorry. It was Miami is playing Buffalo. Sorry.
Miami is playing Buffalo.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer. Miami at Buffalo, Sunday at noon. Didn't even get a good time slot.
There you go. That's kind of a crappy time slot.
Why is Dallas and Tampa Bay on Monday at 7:15?
7:15.
Did I?
Who puts these times in? Are you looking at Yahoo? Because a lot of times I use specific times.
Very specific.
Not specific, Pacific, because in the ocean. In West
Specific. I always switch them on purpose. It drives people nuts. I love it.
Yeah.
Specifically, what are you talking about? Or pacifically, I like to say.
Pacifically, I'm talking about the Pacific Ocean. Outside.
What are you pacifically saying? I don't understand why they're on Monday.
I'm specifically saying thank you everybody for joining Yards After the Catch this week. We will see you guys next week because as long as football's on, we will be here. We'll keep going as long as you guys want us to. I'm looking forward to the draft day show later on this season. But it has been an amazing season. I love the fact that we gave away $5,000 tonight. And I love what we do, even if we just do it ourselves. I love everybody that stopped by. Thank you so much to everybody who does stop by and throws a little something in the comments. We appreciate each and every one of you. Roop, wrap up the regular season for us.
Hey, Caleb, thanks for stopping by. Aurora, the Sideline Scout stopped by as well. I appreciate all the love. If you won your championship, made a little cash, or you don't do cash, I get it. Talk a little trash. Maybe make somebody stand outside with a sign, say they suck at fantasy football, something, doesn't matter. I hope you had a fun and fantastic season. It's the playoffs now. Hopefully we get some wonderful games like we did last season. Really looking forward to it. But I had a great time, and we're going to be here a couple more weeks guessing maybe who's going to win. Find out next week because everybody's going to be a part of it. Chris, take us home because it's time to go to bed because I don't have to check my lineup.
Boom. You do not have to be done with your fantasy season. Go to EFG.com. Go play some of their amazing games and keep your fantasy luck rolling. Keep fantasy football on, everybody. It's so much fun. We appreciate every one of you. Be safe out there. We will see you guys next week. We'll be here. Will you? We hope so. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.